Hello, I'm joining you from Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan. Of course, state trip of President Aliyev to this country is a central topic that everybody is talking about. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Professor Iqbaljan Karabayev, head of the Center for Global and Regional Governance at Maksud Narikbayev University. What a great delight, Professor, to have this opportunity to converse with you today.
Nice to meet you, Orhan Bey. I'm very honored to be featured in your show.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's start our conversation with the gist of what is happening today. This is a President Aliyev's state visit to this country. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, President of Kazakhstan, visited Azerbaijan on a state visit a year ago in March 2024. What is the principal significance of this state visit, and what is your major expectation from it?
Today's visit, it highlights once more strengthening of bilateral relations between Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan, but it also signifies further economic and connectivity integration between Azerbaijan and Central Asia. We are very delighted to witness very positive dynamics in bilateral relations between two countries. Like President Ilham Aliyev said in his interview to Kazakh media, just this year alone, President Tokayev visited Azerbaijan 6 times, and President Aliyev is also visiting Kazakhstan for 7th time in this year. Yeah? So as we can see, there is very strong interactions between two countries these days. They are part of not only bilateral, but also different regional organizations like Organization of Turkic States or Commonwealth of Independent States. And also President Aliyev has become a regular guest of Central Asian consultative meeting of heads of states. Yeah? And so today's visit, it is both an expression of this ongoing strengthening of bilateral relations, and it's also expected to further this integration, especially by focus on mutual trade, transport corridors, connectivity projects, and also energy cooperation.
Thank you very much indeed. One more point about this sense of the current reality. After 2020, the war of 2020, when Azerbaijan regained control over its sovereign territories, and in particular after September 2020, when this process was completely finalized, there is a sense that the idea of Turkey connectivity, relations with Central Asian countries, in particular with Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan and others, have become a central point for Azerbaijan foreign policy. Do you think it is accidental, or do you think it's a result of the natural process?
So I believe that relations between Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, but also broader relations between Azerbaijan and Central Asia, they rely on natural and historical affinities between two sides. Yeah? So these affinities are both political closeness, because both Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, they are for United Nations centered international system based on the respect of international law and for major principles of international law such as sovereignty, political independence and territorial integrity. Yeah? But there is also more and more economic affinities between our countries and our regions. Why? Because more and more our interests are aligning. Yeah? Which is creating more trade between the countries. So recently we have seen that bilateral trade between Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan is increasing several folds. In the same way, Azerbaijan's trade with other Central Asian countries are also increasing steadily. Yeah? And also there is different projects which are about trade, which are about transport corridor, which are about connectivity projects, but which are also about energy cooperation, such as Green Corridor, Digital Silkway, etc. So as we can see, these positive dynamics and increasingly strong relations between our countries are based both on political affinities, but also tangible economic and material interests which are aligned.
Well, it's also very interesting, despite that effort, despite that clear realization of common interests and necessity moving forward together, actual trade volume between Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan stands at 547 million US dollars for 547 million US dollar. It's not a very big figure, really, bearing in mind the scope of Kazakhstan as a nation and Azerbaijan's ambitions. One of the key sensibilities related to Kazakhstan's foreign policy is to make sure that this nation is not reliant on anybody exclusively. How important is Azerbaijan in making sure that that objective could be attained? Because Kazakhstan, frankly, is operating in an incredibly intricate geopolitical landscape. Kazakhstan, exports 80% of its oil resource to Russia. I think 15-17% to China, but only 5% goes to Europe via Azerbaijan. There are literally fundamental limitations induced by geography and induced by probably Caspian Sea, which needs to be transformed into, sea of connection, not division. How do you see this challenge and the role of Azerbaijan in overcoming that challenge?
Of course, limited economic interactions in real life, despite huge potential, can be explained by a recent history of both of our regions. Yeah? For example, South Caucasus, for many years after independence, was marked more by regional conflicts, and also by unresolved problems such as Azerbaijan's territory under occupation, by a foreign country. Similarly, in Central Asia, intra-regional trade, where Central Asian countries are trading with each other, was very limited. But we see that this trend is changing, due to several recent events. So we can point to global pandemic, which showed the importance of supply chains and the importance of better positioning your country in different regional and global supply chains, where you need diversification. And also the war in Ukraine, has also caused shifts in different processes across the region. But also now this broader geopolitical and geoeconomic shifts in the world, where we see the return of great power confrontation and weakening and erosion of United Nations system. So in this system now, smaller countries, of course this is compared to China and the United States or Russia. So smaller and middle countries such as Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, now they have to do more, in order to uphold their national interest. But they also need more cooperation, between like-minded countries. And like we said, Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan share similar positions on many issues of global and regional governance. So, for example, one of these principles is multi-vector foreign policy, but also a balanced multi-vector economic policy. And so Kazakhstan now is actively involved in different connectivity projects. And so, for example, recently we have seen the emergence of the middle corridor, as an essential instrument for maintaining a balanced economic orientation of Kazakhstan in its relations with foreign countries. And so, for example, now Middle Corridor is main part of discussions when Kazakhstan meets with foreign counterparts, but also when there are regional summits. So, for example, in April 2025, during the first ever Central Asia European Union Summit in Samarkand, Middle Corridor was one of the major discussions. And during this summit, sides have pledged concrete and substantial amount of investments in the Middle Corridor. And so when we look at the Middle Corridor, it passes through Azerbaijan and South Caucasus. And so Azerbaijan now is increasingly becoming an important piece for successful trade and foreign policy strategies of Central Asian countries. Yeah? And for example, with the recent developments in South Caucasus, with the peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and with the announcement of the project of Trump International Corridor for Peace and Prosperity, yeah, it opens more avenues for further developing Middle Corridor, yeah, but also for investments of Kazakhstan in Azerbaijan, for example. Yeah? So Middle Corridor is already becoming something real. Yeah. So if a few years ago there was less than 1 million tons of goods transported through these land corridors, now in 2024 there was 4.5 million. Yeah. So there are several folds of increase, and sites, they have political will, but now they also have tangible resources to invest in increasing even more, strengthening the Middle Corridor. Yeah? And so, as we can see, despite limited economic and trade engagement between our countries in the recent past, new developments in the region, yeah, and also commonality of interest are now giving hope for substantial increase, in economic, trade and energy relations between our countries.
Thank you very much indeed for this extensive answer. It seems that, of course, in the first place, we talk about Turkic Pass, that common vision, which is contingent upon the realization of Turkic Pass, and also we talked extensively about imperatives, economic imperatives, necessity of consolidation and punching above one's weight internationally. One more question. You talked about this summit described and labeled as Central Asia plus European Union EU summit, I think April this year. And before that summit, I vividly remember 3 Central Asian countries, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and I think Tajikistan, sorted out something related to their border matters. There was a meeting at the tri-junction of those 3 countries. My question to you is very basic. In terms of internal consolidation, if Central Asia wants to be global power, it needs to make sure that all those 5 countries, in particular those Turkic countries, 4 out of 5, need to have absolutely fantastic relations with absolutely no border-related or political problems. Do you think we do have that degree of stability when you look at that Central Asian landscape now?
Yeah, indeed. The positive dynamics which we have mentioned between Azerbaijan and Central Asia, it can also be seen inter-regionally inside Central Asia. In fact, for the past few years, there have been several positive developments in relations between Central Asian countries themselves. Yeah? So Hojan Treaty, which was signed in spring 2025, where Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, they have finalized, so between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, they have finalized demarcation of borders. Yeah? And also these 3 countries, they have announced their will to transform Fergana Valley into a region of peace and prosperity, yeah, is a very fundamental development. Yeah? And so, for example, just a couple of days ago, Uzbekistan hosted the very first Fergana Peace Forum, yes, where they have gathered together analysts and experts to discuss, this further development of Fergana as a region of peace and economic prosperity. Yeah? And also, before that, we have seen the reinvigoration of Central Asian regionalism. Because Central Asia is part of different regional organizations which bring together Central Asian countries with foreign countries, such as you have Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where you have China, India, now today Iran, Pakistan, yeah. But we also have Organization of Turkic States, where we have also extra Central Asian countries, yeah. But we also have these Eurasian integration organizations where they participate along Russia. But there have been a real need and also expectations for restarting of exclusively Central Asian interactions, yeah, and these have been reinvigorated since 2017, yeah, in the format of consultative meetings of the heads of states of Central Asia. And despite it is more or less informality, yeah, it is leading to real results. Why? Because these consultative meetings, even if they stay away from big, announcements or kind of hard institutional, developments, they consolidate, solidarity between our countries. Yeah, they also lead to real, specific, functional agreements. Yeah, for example, as part of these processes, we can talk about this Kambarata project because water issue, hydropolitics, was one of dividing issues in Central Asia previously, but now Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, they have agreed to build together Kambarata electric station, water hydroelectric station in Kyrgyzstan, yeah, which is a very good development. So we can see recent trend in Central Asia is very positive in terms of development of intra-regional cooperation, in terms of settling all different, political disputes, yeah, and also the increase in bilateral trade, yeah, and also regional trade, yeah, because, for example, intra-regional trade in Central Asia compared to intra-regional trade in Europe, yeah, or in even Southeast Asia, was very limited. It was less than 10%, yeah. But since recently now, they have about, I think, 12 and even more percent of trade which are being done inside Central Asia, which is not yet high, but it's much better compared to recent years. And for example, between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, bilateral trade is already around $5 billion US, yeah, and two sides, they have agreed on a common, objective of reaching $10 billion, yeah. So there are many elements and developments which give hope, yeah, for this development of economic cooperation, connectivity, development in Central Asia, between Central Asia and South Caucasus, but also between our countries individually.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much indeed for exploring and for explaining actually this intricate landscape of Central Asia, referring to those projects, to the increase in bilateral, trilateral trade between those countries. And of course, there are a number of issues. And in the context of Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, I imagine tomorrow the fate and the future of Caspian Sea will be discussed, which is one of those things that refer to both countries. Thank you very much indeed for your time. I'm so grateful to you.
Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure was entirely ours. Thank you.